Well, as we get ready for the big playoff push after week 12, we saw a lot of chaos and a lot of insanity happen this week that I think we need to go and make a deep dive breakdown on every single game this week. So let's get right into these. So we're going to start things off with the first of 3 Thanksgiving games. This one between the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. The Packers winning this one by a final score of 29-22. Green Bay just manhandled Detroit in every sense of the word. Every time you turn around, Detroit's just getting pummeled and beat down. And this is concerning. Green Bay looked amazing. They looked great. But Detroit, this is 2 weeks in a row now of you looking very suspect. I don't know about you anymore. I know you're going to have your bad games, but you got to get yourself back on track. Losing to the Packers and almost losing to the Bears in back-to-back weeks is very concerning for a team that we considered a Super Bowl contender not that long ago. Up next, we have an absolute blowout. The Dallas Cowboys just dominating the Washington Commanders at home, 45-10. It's bad. Dallas domination, once again beating a sub-500 team, which is concerning as Dallas is crushing the sub-500 teams, but they are struggling occasionally with teams that are in the playoff race. They're a lot better off than Miami, but they are having their struggles and their growing pains. Meanwhile, Washington, what was the expectation? I mean, you were going to get manhandled anyway. You're going into Big D on Thanksgiving. You were going to get manhandled. The question was, how bad of a beatdown was it going to be? And quite frankly, it was a big one, 35 points. Up next, we have the Seattle Seahawks getting absolutely pummeled at home by the 49ers. The Niners are back in a big way. They're looking great. They're looking amazing. That offense is back on track, and defensively, they're getting the job done. Now, Seattle, why do you suck versus good teams? This team is such an enigma. They will play really good at times, but then they'll turn around the very next week and look like the worst team in the league. There are genuine concerns for Seattle that if they make the playoffs, they very well could be first-round exits. And that's a big if now, as the Rams and Packers are storming into the playoff picture after Week 12. Up next, we have the first ever Black Friday game, the Miami Dolphins coming into MetLife and absolutely destroying the Jets' hopes and dreams. It was bad, 34-13, and the Jets once again flat on offense. Tim Boyle might not be the answer. This team is having struggles, big time. The Jets have no direction. They have no sense of offensive urgency, and it's starting to let down the defense. The Dolphins had an absolute domination of a game, but they did lose Jalen Phillips to what looks to be an Achilles, I believe was what it was. That's bad for Miami. That is a huge loss down the stretch. But overall, Miami should be all right going forward. They just have to rebound and have that next man up mentality. Up next, we move on to the Sunday slate of games. The New Orleans Saints falling to the Atlanta Falcons, 24-15. New Orleans, why? You are such a talented team, but yet you are struggling. You have talent around. You have Chris Olave. You have Alvin Kamara. You have Derek Carr, who's been a solid quarterback. You have the Honey Badger in the safety. You have Cam Jordan. And yet you're doing nothing in the weakest division in football. And it's not even close. This is the weakest division by far. Meanwhile, Atlanta, great job. You knew your season was on the line, and you answered the call. You knew this was your do-or-die moment against a division rival, and you won it big time. You are now in the playoff picture, and maybe you do take over the NFC South from the Saints, especially after what happened with Tampa Bay this last week. Up next, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Steelers Super Bowl, big win over the Bengals, 400 yards of offense. We're back, baby! Pittsburgh going to Super Bowl. Cincinnati sucks. Thank you for that brief one, Indians. Steelers did win 16-10, but let's go ahead and move on to the Jaguars beating the Houston Texans in Houston, 24-21 off a missed field goal by Matt Amendola, the last play of the game. That was a close one. Jacksonville, though, was always one step ahead. I don't believe they ever trailed in this game. They just kept one step ahead of the Texans. Meanwhile, Houston, this is not a setback of a loss. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it blows that you lost to a division rival for the division lead, but you played up to a very talented unit, and you are looking very good yourself down the stretch here. Up next, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers falling to the Indianapolis Colts 27-20, and Tampa Bay really had their time in this game from about halfway through the second quarter to about the 10-minute mark in the third quarter. That was Tampa Bay's time. And other than that, it was just straight Indianapolis domination. A couple of concerning moments when they had turnovers, But overall, Indianapolis able to rebound. Tampa Bay struggling once again with the turnovers, costly fumbles, and that's bad. If the Buccaneers didn't have those turnovers, they would have won this game, no doubt in my mind, because the Colts were struggling at times. It was only a 7-point game too, 27-20. So Tampa Bay could have easily made that comeback if they wouldn't have had the turnovers. Up next, let's not dwell on this game. The New York Giants beating the New England Patriots 10-7. It was ugly on both fronts. Mac Jones getting benched again for Bailey Zappi, and the Giants, they get a win, but they really lost the prize of the tank. Speaking of Tank Bowl, we have the Carolina Panthers falling to the Tennessee Titans 17-10. Another one I don't want to dwell on because it was ugly. Tennessee, they get the win, but they didn't look good in doing so, and they lost the eye on the prize. The Panthers getting Frank Reich fired after this one, after another loss. The defense played all right, but the offense just looked uninspired once again. Just another bad week for Carolina all around. Up next, we have the domination of the Rams. The Rams going into the desert and beating down big time on the Arizona Cardinals, 37-14. The Rams came out and dominated, never looked back, taking a 21-8 lead in the half. It was 7-8. And then after that, the Rams scored, I believe it was like almost 30 unanswered points. 30 or close to it, unanswered. That is insane. This offense looks like it's back. Higbee was used in the red zone amazingly. And Kyron Williams coming back and looking like the guy. The Rams are going to make a playoff push. Let's go, baby. Up next, we have the Cleveland Browns falling to the Denver Broncos 29-12. And man, Cleveland cannot catch a break, can they? PJ Walker having to come in for relief for a concussed DTR. That is brutal. And if PJ goes down and DTR hasn't cleared protocol, that means the Browns, I believe, don't have a quarterback for next week, which is very, very concerning for this Browns team. It's trying so desperately to cling on to a playoff push. But this loss is a major setback against the Broncos. Meanwhile, Denver playing up, proving that you can run on Cleveland. That is a huge roadmap, and Cleveland's not going to get a break next week. They play the Los Angeles Rams next week with Kyron Williams, who had himself a 120-yard day on the ground. Think about that, 120 or 125, one of those two, but still, 120 yards on the ground. That shows that Cleveland's going to have a very concerning match next week, but Denver playing up offensively. This team is looking like the team I expected them to be at the beginning of the season. Denver's making a push. Up next, we all got fooled by this one. The Las Vegas Raiders falling to the Kansas City Chiefs 31-17. The Raiders jumping out to a very good white-hot start, 14-0, but then losing ultimately 31-17 to the Chiefs when the Chiefs finally got the offensive machine a-humming. It was a brutal start for Kansas City, but they managed to come back and found a way to win. Overall, the Vegas is looking solid if they can keep up their first quarter play in games, and Kansas City getting a big win for the playoff race. Up next, we have an instant classic. The Philadelphia Eagles beating the Buffalo Bills at home in overtime. What a surprise. The Bills dropped the ball in overtime. Final score 37-34 Philadelphia. And man, it was a strong play all around by Buffalo. Josh Allen played up. He was responsible for, over 450 yards. Let me double check real quick what Josh Allen was responsible for. Yeah, Josh Allen was responsible for 420 yards of offense on his own. 81 on the ground, 339 through the air, 2 touchdowns to 1 interception, and still they managed to blow it in overtime. That's a concerning problem for the Bills. If they cannot win in overtime, they have had these struggles for years now. That's very concerning for Buffalo. Philadelphia, though, once again, finding ways to get the win. They have not won pretty this year, I can guarantee you that. But when it comes to clutch time, this team is like the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are clutch as can be. If you look up clutch in the dictionary, you'll see a picture of the 2023 Philadelphia Eagles coming up big time with another close win at the end of the game. And after watching that treat of a game, we were stuck with Ravens-Chargers on Sunday Night Football. Final score 20-30 Ravens win, or 20-10 Ravens win. It was ugly. The Ravens get the win. But Zay Flowers, making a mistake, scoring whenever they were in no more scoring time for the Ravens whenever they had the ball, with the Chargers having 1 timeout, up by 3, under 2 minutes, and Zay Flowers decides he's going to score. Not really a good look for him, but overall the Ravens getting a win. The Chargers once again losing in the close games. The Chargers have not found a way to be able to win in these close games, and this time it was the offense letting them down. The Chargers really just did not have any sort of offense going, and this has been the problem for the Chargers. When the defense holds, the offense looks like crap. When the offense looks amazing, the defense looks like crap. It is awful. It is a bad situation for the Chargers, and they are not looking good, especially sitting at 4-7 for that playoff picture right now. All right, and last but not least for today's video, we have the Chicago Bears going to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Now, the game is wrapping up as I record this with a current score of 10-9. Final score will be posted down below. Either way, no matter who wins this, I already have the takeaways pretty much set. Minnesota really struggling on the offensive line tonight. They lost it in the trenches. Defensively, they came up whenever they needed to, forcing some fumbles late to keep them in it. But offensively, they looked very, very bad. The Bears' defense is a very scary unit to face. The Bears, you might not think about much of them, but they are going to be home wreckers in this final stretch. They have nothing to lose. They know Carolina is going to suck. They know Carolina is likely going to get them the first overall pick. So they have a very strong chance of landing the number 1 overall pick to either trade it to trade back and get a huge haul, or they can go ahead and select, like a Marvin Harrison Jr. or something like that, because Justin Fields looked absolutely amazing through the first 2.5 quarters of this game, give or take. He was on fire. If we take a look at his current stats right now, pulling them up right now, even still, Justin Fields is 26 for 34 for 181 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. That is a bit concerning. But Justin Fields is protecting the ball. He's making these completions. He's getting yards as well off of those completions. Overall, the offense looking good. The defense playing solid. The offense just needs to learn how to finish drives. 3 field goals is not going to win it. You got to put the ball in the end zone, especially when your opponent gives you the ball 4 times off of 4 turnovers. Yeah, Josh Dobbs, 4 interceptions. Absolutely atrocious night. But anyway, yeah, big problems are brewing for the Bears offense and for the Vikings in general after this week. Well, that's about going to do for me today. If you guys did like, don't forget to smash like and subscribe and all that fun jazz. It helps me out a whole lot. It tells me that I'm making content that y'all enjoy. And with that, make sure if you haven't already, check out the Inner Yinzer's reaction to the Steelers' victory down here for his full reaction, not just this little clip earlier in the video. And with that, I will see you guys later. Peace out and have a good one.